Hi, I'm Rachel. I create colourful paintings and I make tutorials so that you can learn how to paint them too. So today I'm going to show you how I painted this abstract whale painting. As always, this is a sped up version, but if you would like to watch the full-length real-time version, then just head to the link in the description of this video and sign up to my Patreon, and you can get access to all of my full-length art tutorials on there. Okay, so just starting out by painting the background, I'm just painting a blue wash over the whole of the painting, and then now I'm just going in and painting the actual background with thicker paint and just using my hands to move the paint around the canvas. I'm speeding through the background a bit because I've actually got another video where I show you how I create the background. So you can watch this, or if you'd like to skip to where I start the whale, just skip to about the 2-minute mark, and that's where I start the whale. Just using a mixture of blues, purples, pinks, and then at the top where I want the sun to come through, I've got some gold paint in there as well. And I'm using a palette knife here, and I'm also using my hands to do the paint as well. And then just some spray paint and some water just to create that abstract effect where the paint's dripping down. So I'm adding some light blues into the darker areas just to add a bit of depth to the water. Again, I wanted this to have quite an abstract effect, so I'm not too worried about it being messy. I'm just kind of playing around, seeing what kind of effect I can do, but just adding some darker tones and some lighter tones to create some depth. Adding some gold leaf here. I will do another separate tutorial showing you how to add gold leaf to a painting. So just some close-ups of what the abstract background looks like. And now I'm just painting the actual whale, so I'm going to do this in 2 layers. So the first layer I'm doing just with a big paintbrush, quite a wide paintbrush. I'm painting highlights in at the top, and then painting mainly with blues, but also some purple tones as well, defining the lines underneath the whale. They're quite a distinctive trait, so I wanted to get them quite defined. So I'm just painting those in, and then yeah, just basically lighter colours at the top and then darker colours at the bottom. And then I wanted the tail to kind of look as if it was going off into the distance, so I'm using very similar colours to the background with the tail, whereas with the head of the whale I'm using different colours to the background to make it stand out, to give it that almost 3D effect. So just finishing off the first layer, just making sure I've painted everything in, just mapping out where to put the shadows, where to put the highlights, and what colours to use. And then I'll go in with the second layer and add some texture. So now I'm doing the second layer. I'm using my fingers to paint this layer because it creates a really cool texture and makes it look much more similar to what whale skin looks like. I'm using thicker paint as well, and I'm just following the first layer, so the colours and the shadows and highlights of the first layer. I'm using that as a guide to paint on top of, and then just really emphasising the lines and the markings, brightening the highlights and darkening the shadows to add more contrast to the painting. This second layer is basically all just about getting creative, adding texture, and really bringing the painting to life, because with the first layer it's quite flat, whereas with the second layer it really adds a lot more depth to the painting. You can use a paintbrush if you want, but I find that tends to make it more flat, so I usually use either my hands or a palette knife, but just play around and see what works best for you, because everyone's different and everyone paints in a different way. So I'm sticking to where the shadows were in the first layer, so really dark underneath the whale and then quite bright, almost white on top of the whale where that highlight is. So I really wanted it to look like the sun is coming through the water and highlighting the head of the whale. Okay, so just zooming in a bit there, just adding some more highlights in, and just basically doing the same technique over the whole of the whale, so that the whole whale has the same texture. And just really darkening that tail of the whale to make sure it looks like it's going out into the distance. I'm using heavy body paints to paint this. I feel like they hold their shape really well, so it's great if you want quite a textured, abstract looking painting. If you want to know exactly every single material I use, I go into more depth in my full-length tutorials on my Patreon about that. So just sign up there and I can let you know everything I use to create my paintings. So just painting the eye now. I've zoomed in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just looking at reference photos and basically copying what they look like, where the shadows are, where the creases are, and everything like that. And now just adding the finishing touches, neatening up the edges and neatening some lines. Okay, so the whale is basically finished now. If you want to see more tutorials like this, then make sure you subscribe to my channel.